Mirko Cro Cop versus Roy Nelson. I loved watching this fight. I remember when there was a fucking break at school and we went into the computer room and I would be checking for updates on Pride on Mirko Cro Cop. He's one of my favourite fighters of all time and he's on a 10-win streak at 45 years of age. Can we talk about that? He's just beat Roy Nelson in the rematch. He's now 7-0 in rematches. Before we talk about the fight, he's 7-0 in rematches. How about he's 8-0 in rematches when we make the rematch between him and Fedor? Please, Bellator. I know that's what Scott Coker's thinking. I know exactly what Scott Coker's thinking. He's definitely thinking, let's make the fucking rematch. Fedor versus Mirko Cro Cop. How does that not sell? You're going to see in the crowd, every middle-aged man is going to be showing up to watch that event, remembering the old times, and maybe they'll be disappointed because these guys don't move like they used to. Here's how I feel. Roy Nelson's just too fat. If he doesn't land a big overhand right, he's got nothing. Too fat. Just a fat fuck. Unathletic. Doesn't train hard enough, clearly, because he's got a fat gut on him. The gimmick's kind of worn off. Now we're seeing him still take damage into his career. Mirko Cro Cop, I felt like, won arguably all 3 rounds. But most likely the last round was a bit of a toss-up because Roy Nelson got that takedown at the end. May have skewered a few judges' opinions. I just feel like Mirko Cro Cop was just there first in the fight. Peppering him, straight shot down the middle. He had that inside leg kick he was landing a few times. He landed the head kick a few times, which gave me flashbacks. Every time he threw it, I was like... Every time he threw the head kick, I just wanted to see Roy Nelson go down. But, you know, oh well. He landed a great fucking body kick on Roy Nelson. Can you blame Mirko Cro Cop for going to the body? You literally can't miss Roy Nelson's body. Okay? It's the biggest target there is. There's no way you're going to miss. The one problem you have with throwing stuff to Roy Nelson's body, like the knees that Mirko was throwing, is that somehow it gets absorbed into his gut, and you're stuck there, and then he takes you down off a single leg, you know? Anyway, Mirko Cro Cop looked very good. His takedown defense is very fucking good. Roy Nelson would come in, and you could see every time he's coming in, he's dipping down against Mirko against defense, and one of two things is going to happen. He's going to dip down for a takedown and fake it and throw a whopping fucking overhand and knock out Mirko. Or he's going to dive straight for the double leg. Every time he dove straight for the double leg. And Mirko read it, double underhooks, frame him off, turn him against a cage, land a knee, let's break. Mirko Cro Cop had the perfect game plan coming into this fight. Perfect. Perfect game plan. Couldn't ask for a better game plan. He fought this fight perfectly. And can I say this? I thought this fight, it wasn't the most action-packed fight. It wasn't a war, okay? But when you're watching two legends go at it, you just want to see who's still got it in them. And we found out that Mirko Cro Cop still has it in him. You know? He's still a savage. He's still stuffing takedowns real well. And I think I picked Roy Nelson. I picked Mirko to win this by late TKO or a decision. Because let's face it, if I could have got a late TKO. Because Roy Nelson is gassed out after the first round. You can't be morbidly obese. And compete in the MMA. I know it's his gimmick. Big country. Oh, I'm the guy with the belly. Yeah, but now you're the guy who's losing every fucking fight. You've lost 3 in a row now. 3 in a row. You lost to Matt Mitrione, arguable, I know. Very arguable. You lost to Karatonov, who just lost to a dick shot in his last fight against Mitrione. And then now you've lost to Cro Cop. So, are you going to lose your belly? Are you going to start running a bit more and move down to featherweight? Are you going to get in any kind of shape that isn't circle? Like, you can't be that fat. You just can't. He doesn't have the same crack on his punches anymore, because you saw it. Normally when he was in the UFC, Not before the end. Maybe just before the end when he was in the UFC. When he cracked guys with that right hand. You know, when he cracked Nogueira with that right hand. People go down. You know? And especially Mirko Cro Cop being 45. You think he'd still have that snap. Roy Nelson doesn't have the same snap on his punches. That's for sure. And it's because he's fat fuck. And he doesn't train hard enough. And I hate to say it because I was a big fan of Roy Nelson. But the gimmick's kind of old now when you're just putting your brain matter on the line. You know? Surely you should take it a bit more seriously now. You see it, Roy Nelson was trying to throw high kicks, but his gut, I'm not even joking, you can see this in the fight, there was 2 occasions where Roy Nelson tried to throw a high kick, but his gut limited his leg from getting that high. I'm not even joking. You could see it. He would try and do a high kick, but he would end up just like firing himself in his gut and it would bounce his leg back down. I'm not joking, you could see it. It was crazy. But Mirko Cro Cop looked very good. Uppercuts in the clinch, elbows in the clinch. Underrated clinch game of Mirko Cro Cop. His elbows are fucking brutal. And yeah, now I'm glad Mirko won. I didn't mind who won when I was watching, but can I say this? All the fans in the arena, how fucking dare you boo Mirko Cro Cop? So what if it was not an entertaining fight? No guys broke fucking their skulls against each other. So what? You don't fucking boo Mirko Cro Cop ever in your fucking life. And this is how you know that there's casual fans in the crowd. Okay, that's obviously a massive sign. Because no hardcore MMA fan in their right mind would ever consider booing a legend like Mirko Cro Cop. I could hear it. I turned on the sound after the decision was made, and it was the right decision, but they were booing because, oh, these guys didn't just swing at each other like idiots. Okay. How fucking dare they, man? Mirko Cro Cop should have walked past every seat in that crowd, left leg symmetry to anyone who was booing. That's how I feel. That's what I wanted to see. That's the real fight I wanted to see. I wanted to see Mirko Cro Cop walk into the crowd and left leg symmetry everyone in the fucking crowd. That's how I wanted to see. Anyway. Great fight. And now we've got fun matchups for Mirko Cro Cop. Really fucking fun matchups. Really fun matchups. You've got Fedor's an option. Chuck Congo's an option, who also won on that night. Or he could fight Bader, but I don't want to see that yet. I want to see him against someone else, see how he does. He could fight Karatonov, but I think they're going to rematch between Mitrione and him. He could fight Mitrione at some point. These are all options for him. Big names at Bellator now. He could fight Rampage Jackson, who's now a heavyweight, because he's another guy who's given up on his nutritionist. Let's be real. He could fight a plethora of guys. But the one fight I want to see now, Mirko Cro Cop versus Fedor Emelianenko. 2. And I wish he would have called him out like he did in back old... remember in the old Pride days? I remember watching this. When he calls out Fedor. And he's like, Fedor Emelianenko, you are next. I wish he would have done that again. That would have just made me come. I'd be... like just empty out my fucking testicles. All over my desk. Anyway. Great fight. Even though they were booing, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed the technique behind it, the takedown defense Mirko was showing. He was dropping in that straight right. Still looking crisp for an old man of 45. 10-fight win streak. 7-0 at rematches. Let's make it 8-0 in rematches when he takes on his final rematch against Fedor, the last Emperor Emelianenko. Let's make it happen, Scott Coker. Me and you, baby. Me and you will go into business together. We make this fight happen. I know exactly how to market it. Mirko Cro Cop versus Fedor Emelianenko 2. 2 senile grandpas. You know? The fight to be king of the retirement home. Like and subscribe. Seriously.